I was able to test my mental focus, and could I focus on the game while I worry about what's being said by this guy on court side or this fan behind our bench or whatever, and I was able to go out there and play.
He's been called half man, half amazing. My conversation with Nets star Vince Carter coming up next.
A lot of fans are coming up to me now more than ever and just saying, "Hey, big shot, Bob."
I like to say when it's time to turn it up that I turn it up. I got a toughness inside of me that just won't let me quit.
Wayne Wade with a beautiful move.
If you're going to be in the NBA, if you're going to be out there on the basketball court, people can watch you. Why not try to put on a show?
Here comes Willis. The crowd is going wild. Bird fires. It's a three-pointer, and he's tied the game. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to our second season. Now, after extensive high-level meetings over the summer and many hours of testing among carefully selected focus groups, we have decided the title will remain The Marv Albert Show. For those who have been waiting patiently, the staff is anxious to reward your loyalty. For those of you just finding us for the first time, here's a brief overview of what we like to do here. On each episode, we profile NBA players and personalities, past and present. And we tie it all together by exploring a skill or storyline that relates to their career. We'll tip things off by spending a little quality time with the high-flying, gravity-defying Vince Carter of the New Jersey Nets. Carter's ability to play the game above the rim has not only made him a fan favorite and perennial all-star, but also was the trait that separated Vince from the pack in his formative years.
That ain't no fair, man. I got so little house and you got so much.
Carter to the basket. Oh, windmill jam. Oh, gotta be kidding. Give that man a parachute already.
Slam dunk, one of the greats of the year.
What a move by Vince Carter. Baseline left, reverse lay in, two-handed jam. He slides in.
When did you know that there was something a bit different about your skills?
That's a tough one. I've always played the game and just enjoyed playing and enjoyed winning and doing the best I could. And probably in high school, probably my sophomore, junior year, was in one of the five-star camps and got most promising prospect. I think that's when the confidence was there and started getting recruited by a couple of schools, and Dean Smith and Coach K was coming to see me play, and that's when I felt that I had a shot. The rest is history.
You were actually a drum major in high school. You played the saxophone. Was that kind of like the Clark Kent side of the personality?
Definitely. Yeah. There was times where I was going back and forth from band practice to basketball practice. I liked it, and I just stuck with it. I enjoyed both sides of the spectrum.
What's up, Florida? How you doing? Daytona?
Was it always going to be North Carolina, and did you have any concerns about the inevitable comparisons to Michael Jordan?
Well, I had Florida, Florida State, Duke, and Carolina on my list at the time. Once I chose North Carolina, the comparison started to come up. It was tough at first. I wanted to let everybody know, hey, this is who I am. Well, Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. Once people began to just see what I bring to the table and who I am, kind of slowed down until my rookie year in the NBA.
You had not only been traded on draft night, but had to endure a lockout that threatened your entire rookie season.
It was tough. And once the lockout hit, I went to North Carolina, went back to school, took some classes. So I was actually working out. I kept busy. Of course, after a while, it gets redundant. You're just tired of doing that. You're like, I'm ready to practice with my NBA team.
Vince Carter with his first basket in the NBA.
Carter. Oh, my goodness. You think they'll like him here?
Baseline, Carter spins, elevates, and hits.
That's terrific athletic ability there.
Vince Carter trying to single-handedly bring back Toronto.
Was there a disproportionate amount of pressure on you to make the business of basketball, a winner up in Canada?
It was tough because, of course, you know, when you think of Toronto, you think of the hockey. It was a lot of work as far as bringing in talent and bringing in guys who want to stay there. You know, after I think our second year, Tracy had moved on. You know, I chose to extend my contract there to let them know that they were good to me, and I wanted to be there and help them turn it around. And we had good years. We tried to spoil the fans a little bit. You know, turn them from just the stepchild that you beat on to a playoff team yearly.
I take it you were a fan of the NBA.
Of course.
At the time, was Jordan your guy, the guy you followed?
I watched him.
Yeah.
But I was a Dr. J fan. Always been.
Way rocked the baby to sleep and slam dunk. The doctor made a sensational play.
Always admired and respected Mike, and I have plenty of tapes of him in the dunk contest and doing the amazing things that he's done in his career. So I've always been a fan of Michael Jordan, yes.
Do you try to take things in your earlier years from Julius and Michael?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, fade away.
2 seconds. 1 second. Beats the buzzer. Vince Carter!
It was probably one of my things that I really felt that I could master, or try to master, you know, to my potential, of course, and I still use it today.
Vince Carter wins the game.
Like his childhood hero Julius Erving, Vince Carter is one of the game's greatest dunkers and one of the most popular players in the history of fan balloting for the NBA All-Star Game. Carter and Dr. J each led the voting in 4 seasons, trailing only Michael Jordan, who topped the polls a record 9 times. We'll take a look back at the man many consider to be the pioneer of modern flight in the NBA when we return. Because Julius Erving spent his first 5 seasons in the ABA, his name is nowhere to be found in the top 10 list of scorers in NBA history. But if you add it all up, only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, and Karl Malone scored more points than the 30,026 Erving compiled while playing pro ball. However, it was never just the numbers that made Julius a legend, but how he racked them up. Known simply as Dr. J, no one ever played with more style, grace, and sheer athleticism. Others may have dunked before the doctor, but Julius is still seen as the player most responsible for taking the game above the rim. In 1971, Julius Erving left the University of Massachusetts and signed on with the Virginia Squires of the ABA. He gave the new league a new identity and a dynamic young superstar.
And there is Julius Erving. Look at that move behind the back. Oh!
It wasn't Julius Erving, it was Dr. J, which meant when he got on the floor or on the court, he operated on guys.
Right down the lane, all the way, layup good!
It probably was getting a glimpse of the game in the 90s, in the 70s. So, you know, my game was probably a little bit ahead of its time.
He was, in the ABA, the symbol of the league.
Driving to the lane, up into the air, the shot looks good, it is!
He wasn't just its biggest star, he was the lead to those outside the ABA. He gave his team credibility. He gave the league credibility and an identity.
And that sends everyone reeling. Julius Erving!
In 1976, 4 teams from the ABA were absorbed by the NBA. But after 3 years with the Nets, Julius moved on as he was acquired by the 76ers.
I'm no longer a New York Net, Philadelphia 76er, and, you know, everyone else as well as myself might as well get used to it.
The whole town was going crazy. We getting the doctor, we getting the doctor. All of Philadelphia was going crazy. Little kids on the playground, even in church they was talking about.
Without question, without any doubt, the absolute greatest forward that has ever put on a pair of basketball shoes.
From the University of Massachusetts, number 6, captain of the Philadelphia 76ers, Julius the Doctor Erving.
And Julius electrified NBA fans with his aerial artistry and thunderous slam dunks. Crowds throughout the league were simply amazed watching a style they had never seen before.
I think taking the ball to the hoop and dunking the basketball, particularly against bigger opponents, was an expression of sorts.
Look out.
But the dunks were just part of his overall brilliance. In Irving's first year with the Sixers, he led them to the NBA Finals. But it took 3 more trips to the championship round before Philadelphia won the title in 1983. Along the way, Julius became an ambassador for the game, widely admired for his class and dignity.
Julius not only had the great skills, but he had a great aura of being a gentleman, of being a diplomat, of being almost a saint.
He had personality, and he had the kind of personality that would catch your eye. I kind of learned the small things from Julius, and they wind up being big parts of my life. Keeping my humility and always thinking about somebody else. So I feel good to know the doctor.
When Julius Erving took off from the free throw line, he set a standard that all other dunks that followed are still compared to today. Coming up next, Vince Carter will share some of his own in-flight experiences and reflect on a performance in 2000 that made him a slam dunk champion. Though sportscasters can travel hundreds of thousands of miles in the sky every year, it should be noted that I always enlist the services of licensed aviators to get me from one locale to another. Vince Carter has no such limitations on the basketball court, flying solo at all times. And he's been one of the game's most exciting players from the first time that he stepped on an NBA court. Now, you were Rookie of the Year in '99. Then in 2000, you're elected to your first NBA All-Star game and absolutely electrified the crowd in the slam dunk contest. Where do you think that performance in that contest ranks in the history of the event?
In the history? It's hard for me to rank it, but I know it was a dream come true, first and foremost, to actually be in that situation, to be in the slam dunk contest, to go out there and show the world what I can do.
And here is Vince Carter with his first stop. Let's go home. Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home. This building just exploded.
As one who did the announcing on that for TNT, I remember the look on your face at one point that it's all over.
Yeah, I was starting to feel good, especially after my first dunk. I tried that dunk actually before, and I didn't feel comfortable. The reverse 360 was my first one, and I didn't really feel comfortable with it when I tried it. And I planned on doing something else, and once they called my name and it was my turn to go, I said, why not? I'm going to try it.
That is a reverse 360 going against the grain. That is unbelievable.
And once I made that one, I was feeling good. I was like, yeah, somebody beats me tonight, they're just a better man.
All right, and here is the second dunk of the night. And Vince adding to the repertoire. All right, Vince Carter with his first on the final round.
Ladies, wait, timeout. Can I take a timeout? And if he does this, like I said, 10 is not enough.
Judges are coming over the table to congratulate Vince Carter. This is unheard of.
Half man, half amazing. Vince Carter, the NBA dunk champion. I'm crowning him right now.
Will we ever see Vince Carter again in the slam dunk?
I don't know. I've thought about it. I've been fighting with it. It's just, that's a tough one.
It's perfect Vegas.
Can't
Wait a
beat
second.
that.
It doesn't get any better in terms of the setup.
We'll see.
You're pondering. I can see.
We'll see.
It's a thought.
It's a thought.
What makes for the best dunks? Is it the hang time? Is it the downward force? I mean, how do you look at that?
It just all depends. It's just the situation and the person sometimes.
Let's have a 2-on-1 development. Kid slips it back.
You can dunk on a guy that has no business up there, jumping and trying to block it.
Backdoor cut, and oh my goodness.
The guys who are respected in the league as shot blockers.
What body control and what power by Carter.
Or just maybe it's a guy who's been talking a lot of smack the whole game, and he ends up on the wrong end of that dunk.
Vince Carter serving up a facial on Eddie Griffin.
I think that's when the crowd gets into it and I get into it.
Now, one of the most storied dunks of all time. It's been called Le Dunk de la Mort by the French media. Take us through that. You are soaring toward a guy by the name of Frederick Weiss, who happened to be a draft pick of the Knicks, did not play in the NBA, and you're about to unleash what has been labeled the dunk of death. What was going through your mind?
I see Frederick standing there, but I don't really pay attention to him because I'm trying to just get to the basket because everybody's going down the court trying to change direction back. So I figure if I can attack before everybody gets back, I have a shot. And the rest, I don't remember. I just remember jumping up. I remember touching him. And then the next thing I know, I remember dunking the ball. But I never actually realized I jumped over him.
But did you realize at the time that this dunk would live on, would get that much attention?
I guess when you think about it, I'm 6'6" and he's 7'2" or so. Hey, it's pretty special.
Consider it a public service from yours truly if, in fact, Vince Carter does decide Las Vegas is the venue to reemerge and challenge for the slam dunk crown. When we reemerge on the other side of this break, Vince shares his thoughts on his final days in Toronto and what he hopes the future holds in store for the Nets. Despite his enormous popularity among the fans, Vince Carter has not been immune to criticism in the media. For most athletes, there is a blurring of perception and reality, and even the most spectacular performers can find themselves becoming a lightning rod for controversy, a scenario that Vince has experienced firsthand.
This is unbelievable. He's on fire right now. Carter does it again. What a show by him tonight. Carter goes for another three. 5 for 5. The young man put on such a display of shooting. He's got to be approaching playoff record stratosphere. 7-7 from three-point territory. The NBA playoff record has been established. Carter with the rebound. Turnaround. Another one. That's amazing. Amazing. Vince Carter hit his 8th three-pointer in a row.
An NBA record 9 threes, including 8 in one half, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. And just 10 days after that, you created a stir. You decided to attend your college graduation on the same day as Game 7.
I spoke to Vince Carter when he arrived here at the arena. You look different as a college graduate. He beamed and said, I feel different.
As you look back to that, would you have done it differently?
No. I just couldn't understand where the problem was as far as me fulfilling the dream.
If things don't go well, he has really opened himself up.
It was more frustrating and disappointing to really hear the criticism.
It was clear that he wanted to separate these two events. He just wants to focus now on Game 7.
Why should it be any different for me fulfilling my dream and my goal in my life of graduating? And I was still fulfilling both sides, myself and my family as well as the team.
You know what? A few jump shots early, the teammates will forget that he was not here with the team last night. If he plays great, they will love him.
Carter with 6 on the shot clock. Knocks it down.
I was back, made it to the meeting, got my proper rest as normal, and played in the game. And didn't play that bad. 1 shot away.
Carter runs to the near side. He stops. He shoots. His shot is up. It's off the rim. And the Sixers advance to the Eastern Conference Finals as Vince Carter misses a shot.
How disappointed were you when you realized that things were not going to have a happy ending in Toronto?
It was tough. It seems like they were going in a different direction, which I didn't have a problem with. It was time to move on.
Vince Carter, his first game back since being traded away.
Vince, what do you remember from that first trip back to Toronto, leading the Nets to victory?
From North Carolina, 6'6" guard, number 15, Vince Carter.
I knew the Bulls were going to come and all that, and it was kind of extra motivation for me to come out and just play.
And the ring goes good.
The booing is a thing to do when a guy moves on, and But it was fun for me just to go out there and play. And
Carter coming back to the Air Canada Center, dropping 39.
they watched me grow up as a young guy, winning the Rookie of the Year, making it to the playoffs, being swept by the Knicks in the playoffs, making it to the second round against Philly. They got the chance to see me grow and become the person that I am. And now it's kind of like it's over.
Your second trip back to Toronto provided quite the dramatic finish. Where does that moment rank in your career?
Oh, definitely top 5.
Nets are down by 4. Carter's 3. He's got it.
Just because of the atmosphere, the situation, who we're playing against.
The Nets have no timeouts to work with, and will have to hurry on a make or a miss by Calderon.
One of my better game-winning finishes in my career, if not the best.
No good. The door is open for the Nets.
Enough time now.
Kidd, 3 seconds. Carter looking for the win. He buries it.
We're playing them on my old floor.
Vince Carter back in Toronto with a bang.
And to end in that fashion was a great feeling.
Welcome home.
You play alongside Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson. Is this core strong enough for the Nets to make a genuine run this season?
I do believe so. We have an unbelievable starting 5 that is very complimentary of each other. Everybody's willing to sacrifice for the good of the team. And I think if you get everybody on the same page, good things can happen.
If the Nets are to make the leap back to the NBA Finals, Vince Carter may be best suited to lead them into that rarefied air. Carter, who turns 30 later on the season, may be reaching the peak of his career. But as a student of the game, he knows the importance of completing his rise to stardom with a championship. We'd love to continue, but our extremely annoying director is waving frantically that it's time to call it a day. But before we go, here's a taste of what we have in store for you next time, when I'll be joined by former Indiana Pacers great Reggie Miller.